So in the sense that it is the primary source by which we get to know our creator and what the creator would like us to think about when we create society, right? So in the sense that, as I mentioned, that the legal lens, there's actually 13 sources of Islamic law, the primary being the Quran, the second being the writing, not the writings, the statements, prohibitions, the approbations, prohibitions, the tacit approvals, and of the Prophet, because we believe both of those are divine communications, using the Arabic term wahi, meaning they're revealed source of knowledge, immutable, and it's divinely, so we think that of this traditions that's divinely inspired, the book being the literal word, right? So this is so that's from the this is what we have, and then you use your other sources of law. So you like analogy, public utility, other concerns that come in and make the legal system, right? But there are 13. So what I was trying to tell you is that, but you can't get around. You can't legislate something that's an obligation without saying that it has a clear textual source in these two things. So I can't tell you you're obliged to do something, meaning you will sin in the here, right? You will have after-worldly ramification until I find that source that links that within these two sources, okay? Because that's the only divine communication that we have. So as any legal system, so let me give you an analogy, right? So you have the Constitution. The Constitution was written by individuals in a certain time and place. And as you develop constitutional law in a legal system, you say, well, what is the intent here? What's the spirit of the law? What is the text actually of the law? How do we hermeneutically derive for the rulings? This is the same thing with Islamic law. You're just not using the Constitution, you're using the Quran and the traditions. So so it's a wrong analogy to say that it's a fixed sort of body of knowledge. Rather, you have to at least root something and ground it within that. So it doesn't. Yeah, I don't think there's any. No, I'm not going to say that I'm a scholar of Islamic law and a scholar of all the traditions and all the traditions of the Quran. But yeah, it doesn't talk about necessarily about physicians, right, and patients and what you can and can't do. But you have to say, well, here's the ideas of where suspicion lies or backbiting lies, what people are doing with trusts, right? How what you should suspect and not suspect. And from there you can say, well, here's how we map that onto a physician in a profession or a patient. The texts of medieval Islamic ethics actually talk about obligations of the physician, obligations of the patient to each other, right? What they can and cannot talk about. It's all divided this sort of understanding of what the texts permit us to do. So that's the first part. The second part you asked about this forensic sort of thing. Yeah. So I think that what's or at least apparently is a clear distinction between the Baptist faith and Islamic faith here. There is you're thinking about society. And so if someone is unfit to have whole public office, that is something that you're doing, you're playing a role, right? You have obligations upon each other. There might be harm or societal harm. And that is actually, maslahah is one of the ways you get into Islamic law. It's a source of Islamic law. You do a risk-benefit analysis of potential harms to society, right? Society trumps individual in certain cases. So this is a clear, that's why I said even for the individual in that case, you have to disclose because you're having individual harm or perpetrating individual harm using the Islamic legal lens, and you can't do that. Islamic law is here to have a moral code that's just, and you can't do this in this sort of way. So I think that the particulars might be different, but I think that what I wanted to communicate was that the rootedness of the tradition, and then that it has to be the basis upon which you start to assess and evaluate.
Thank you very much. Religion deals in terms of eternity, but we only have 1 hour, so I just want to give you a very brief opportunity. Do you have any final thoughts that you'd like to convey to the audience? Anything? Any of the panelists?
No, I think the thread of what I've been hearing on the panel is basically respect for human dignity. And this is not obviously in all cases, in all examples, a black or white issue, but that we do the best we can with the capacity we have right now, and try to respect individuals and society as a whole. And this is a difficult area. So personally, I just come out with such a huge respect for lawyers because it's not easy. Because you're not talking one religion either. You're talking multiple faiths. So I think that's all I would like to end with.
I just want to begin with thanking the organizers. I want to thank you for your patience with me and my words, and that's all I want to say.
I would say thanks as well, and I would say that the issue is always the fundamental brokenness of our humanity that we call sin is such that no individual or group of people can safely be entrusted with the soul issues of another. That's to say, if you were genuine and pure as God, I could entrust you with my brokenness, that you wouldn't use it to harm me or disarm me or do some damage to me. But you are another broken sinner such as I am, and it is entirely likely that you will do damage to my soul by this knowledge, and so I am entitled to keep it from you.
Please join me in thanking the panelists.